Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to another edition of the show. I'm joined once again by Kyle Klingman, who has moved out of the Bob Dylan studio into the, is this your Larry Bird studio?
Yep.
Awesome. Big Larry Bird fan?
Love Larry Bird. I've followed his entire career. He was my favorite player growing up, and that fanaticism has not left me, Mark.
All right. Well, I'm not much of a basketball guy, so I don't have much to comment here. Although, when I was growing up, Larry Bird had a mustache, right? But it almost looked like he just had like a vanilla shake, like a big vanilla shake before the game. Yeah, just kind of that blonde mustache.
True.
Okay, we call this a segue, right? Great segue opportunity here. One of the best mustaches in wrestling. I've seen it a little furrier than it is right now, but we're going to bring him on. It's Joe Rao, recent runner-up at the Olympic trials, two-time world team member. How you doing, Joe?
Good. Nice having me, Bader. Thank you.
Yeah, glad you're here. So I guess let's just jump right into it. You know, you went to the 2019 Worlds. You qualified the weight for the Olympics. No, it's not there. Excuse me. You didn't qualify the weight for the Olympics at the Worlds. You came at Pan Am's and did qualify the weight for the Olympics. And then we get to the Olympic trials. You're sitting in the finals. You actually lost to Alan Vera at Senior Nationals in October. Alan loses Stefanowicz. That puts you and John Stefanowicz in the finals. And what happened?
Yeah, so I was just wrestling, but I found a lot of this out later, after. But, in my match, it was a very crazy match. First of all, I got him in a front headlock in 15 seconds, and I threw him for 4. And then as I was throwing him for 4 again, the ref stopped the match, and there was no explanation. It was very weird to me. And even when I asked for an explanation, I was yelled at and threatened,
On
to
the
keep
mat
wrestling
during the
or I
match?
could be DQ'd. Yeah, on the mat during the match. And there was no reason to stop it. And he wasn't choking because he pops right up. You can see there's life in him. And even when he does get time, he's holding his jaw and his face. It's because the front headlock was in the right place. I wasn't choking him. But anyways, the referee wasn't even in the right position. Like, referees are supposed to know where the action is going to go. They should be able to anticipate that, especially if they were a wrestler. And the ref was right in the way of the action because I believe he intended on stopping the match. So what would have been a tech in 15 seconds ended up not being a tech. And then, we stopped it again with another front headlock. And, he blew the whistle as I was going. And that's when I got cautioned in 2. So instead of getting another 2, John gets a 2, and then I get put down, which converts to his only offensive points. So to me, it was just like a crazy match. And there was a lot of little things, in between that. Like, I'm always getting warned for hands. I'm always getting warned for a head up. Like, I need to get my head up, even though my head was higher. Or, like, I got them in the zone and they pull us back. There was little things like that constantly going where the referee was only on me the whole match. And then I find out after that, yeah, they bolted from the same team. And that my coaches did request a different referee, and it wasn't given to us.
Wow. Now, and there was, I believe, there were a couple instances earlier in the tournament where guys had got choked out. Is that right? Guys went unconscious. Not that you did it, but it did happen.
I wasn't watching the tournament.
Sure.
I was just, but yeah, I'm sure that happens in a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just trying to put things in place here. and potentially, I don't. I'm not making excuses at all. I'm just trying to give some context here. Potentially they didn't want guys to get choked out, but that's the sport. You get a front headlock and you squeeze and you go, and if the guy, we see guys pass out all the time, right? It's
Yeah.
and they pop right back up. So, but you didn't know any of this, right? After like the things you just laid out. So what do you do between matches 1 and 2?
I'm trying my best to just like let it go and focus on winning the next match and telling myself I can win the next match. And like, it's gonna sound like excuses, but the first match really messed me up mentally, and I did everything in my power to be ready for the next match. But I swear, like, I couldn't move my body. I couldn't move my neck. Like, I had my coaches rubbing out my arms and my necks and my neck and my legs, and I just felt like a piece of stone. And I was so like emotionally messed up from the first match. I mean, this ref pushed me. This ref was in my face. He was like, when I was supposed to be rewarded, I was punished. And I don't know. I had like an involuntary reaction where I swear I couldn't move, and I was just going in trying to win that second match, and it still was only 2-0 or 2-1, whatever it was, but I didn't feel like I could move. I felt like I was so messed up from the first match, which sounds crazy, and I don't want to make excuses, but yeah, going into that second match, I was messed up. I had a lot of people calling me. I had Robbie Smith trying to get my head right, and I was telling myself the right things. I was believing like, hey, I'm still gonna win. Um, and that's not what happened. I was pretty messed up, and I did my best to win that second match and rally, but it didn't happen. And after the match, finding more things out and knowing things about their program, it even paints an even crazier picture because you know I love the Marine program. I've been outright with supporting them. I mean, you can look at my 5 Point Move interviews where I'm interviewing them, and they're all my friends. But they were going to lose their program, and now they're not. So not only is there a conflict of interest and a bias with the ref having been a Marine wrestler, but there's a reason why you would want a Marine wrestler on the Olympic team. You want to save the program. They're losing their program, and now they're not. So I don't want them to lose their program. I'll do anything to help fight for that program, but I don't want it to be at my expense. Is all.
Give me more details on that. They were going to lose their program. Did you know
Yeah,
this at the
it was.
time? Did you find it out later? And what are the circumstances around it?
I've known this for months, and it was crazy because it was like a UNO situation. It's like they just won armed forces like months ago, like a year ago. We, people in the greco-wrestling community knew this. It wasn't made public, but they. I've talked to a lot of the Marines about it for months. It's like they just won armed forces, and they beat Army WCAP, which is like a big accomplishment for them. And then they find out they're going to lose the program. They've had a bunch of world team members lately, all this progress, but they were going to lose the program. And now we got a Marine ref and a Marine wrestler, and it seems from where I'm standing like there's a clear motive and there's a clear bias, and I hope they get to keep their program, but all I want is a fair shot. I just want a fair match. That's all I want, and I feel like I deserve a fair match. And I feel like a lot of the wrestling community agrees with me.
Sure. Why were they going to lose the program? Was it money? Was it lack of success? Was it something? Was it
Neither of
other
those.
factors? Why were they going to? Was the program not going to continue?
It wasn't money. It wasn't lack of success. They had both of that. They had both of those things. They've been climbing. They've been having guys toured around all over the world, and they've been making so much like progress. They've, like I said, I think they had 2 world team members in 2019, and however many national team members. They had 2 finalists this year, and one guy, unfortunately, I don't think it was fair, but he won over me. So they had an Olympian. So success wasn't a problem. I feel like when it comes to the Marine program, like they just care a lot more about the Marines, and it comes down to leadership and a lot of stuff that's out of their control. And it's not always a wrestler. It's just some officer that's above, that outranks everybody else. It just says like, why are we putting money into this? And that's been, I've been friends with guys on their team way before that, this quad, and it was a lot harder back then. It was basically, hey, you make the team or you're just another Marine, and they can send you on a tour. That's how it used to be. And then they got very lucky and they became more wrestling oriented. But leadership has changed, and yeah, it was more of a leadership thing. Like, why are we spending money on this? Even though they had the money, even though they had the success.
If it wasn't a lack of money and if it wasn't a lack of success, why would it matter whether or not John won the match and made it on the team?
Well, because now they got an Olympian, and that makes the Marines look good, and it changed their mind. It's just like, hey, is the national champ for Stanford going to be enough to change, the athletic director's mind in Stanford, or all the powers that be at Stanford? And maybe it'll make them think twice about what they're doing. Does it make sense for Stanford to lose their program? Does it make sense for UNO to lose their program, or any of these other teams? No, it doesn't. And I don't want any wrestling programs to be, finished. I want them all. I want more. I
Yeah.
want more wrestling programs. But yeah, it's something that maybe they thought would change their minds, and from what I heard, it did.
Okay. Um, in that first match, when did you feel like in match, right? Not looking back at it, but like in the moment on the mat, when did you think, man, something doesn't feel right? In the sense, was it that first time, or was it later, or because you mentioned three, four, five things? Was it after one, or was it after a few instances that you think that thought things weren't going the right way?
Man,
That is there something off here?
it was crazy, man. I'm telling you, it's like I do a lot of sports psych. I do a lot of meditation. I was in the zone. So just to explain it to you, like, I was in the zone in a good way. And then when things just kept going wrong, it was like an out of body nightmare experience. It was like, it was a good zone turned into a bad zone. And, and it was the strangest match I've ever wrestled in. And I would say that it was the real big one was the second time he stopped that front headlock, and he's screaming at me, and I'm literally backing up, like trying to get away from him. And he's like just in my face, and his face is beat red. I mean, you can watch the video. He's not in the right frame of mind to be reffing a match. He's losing his composure, and I was just trying to get away from him. Even when I go back to center, I'm like, okay, I'm no longer going to talk to him or ask for an explanation. I'm just going to wrestle, and he's still screaming in my face. And if you watch the match, I line up in an old parterre position. Like, I'm on my knees and hands. I'm not even like on my belly, because like I think I was so thrown for a loop that I reverted back to rules from years ago. I line
Yeah.
up wrong. I know what way to line up, but it was like an out of body nightmare. And it was so weird that I could hear people in the stands. I could pick out individual voices, and I could hear all my friends that were Marines, because I'm really close with some of those guys. I could pick out Ray Bunker's voice over everybody in the crowd. And I remember being like hurt that I felt like I was being like screwed by the ref, and I could hear Ray Bunker like happy about it. And I'm like, Ray, no, ete brute, come on. Like, like, I know he's your teammate, but like, obviously there's something not going right in this match. Like, you shouldn't be happy about it. But, it's his teammate. I can't like take it personal, but it was weird, man. I could hear individual voices in the stands. I could pick out individuals, and I felt like I no longer had control of my body, and it was a bad thing.
Well, as much of your oh, it sounds like you almost didn't have control of your mind. Would that be kind
Yeah.
of somewhat fair?
Yeah, after the two stoppages, yeah, I would say that. Yeah, and I don't want to make that argument for anything that controversial that happened, because I was in the right frame of mind for those interactions. It was when I got put down to parterre, that's when it happened. And I wish that I would have defended those gut wrenches. Those were the only two offensive points he scored. Um, but I shouldn't have been put down, and I should have already had him teched. That's the rules of wrestling. I had him teched in 15 seconds. The rules of wrestling, like, even if you don't give me the second four, I had another two. And it's just really crazy. And yeah, halfway through the match, when I got put down again, or when I got put down and I got in trouble again, that's when things started really kind of, getting strange, and me feeling like, yeah, this is an out of body nightmare.
Wow, That's so wild. What do you? I mean, and maybe you don't remember anything because the way you're describing it was your head was somewhere else potentially. Do you remember what your coaches or anybody said to you, like either right off the mat or once you got to the back?
Yeah, I mean, I just had Andy Bezic and Coach Brian Medlin just telling me like, "Hey, you're still in it." I remember getting off the mat and voicing my like complaints, like being like, "What the heck was that? Like, why'd he stop that? Why is this?" Because on the mat, I remember the match vividly. I'm just saying that the out of body part was that like I don't normally hear people in the stands and know who's saying things.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
was out of body. I remember the whole match vividly. I remember a lot of the things the ref was saying to me. I remember him telling me, "You're so lucky, like you're
What do you when
so." And
when did the ref said
I,
you're so?
I mean, you could see from my like even my body language, I was trying to be as non-confrontational as possible. Like Daniel Cormier was just talking about this. Even if you ask refs what the call was, you can get you can get DQ'd or something. I was just trying to ask him like, "What's is this the rule? Like, what's the call here?" And he screamed at me, "You're so lucky! Like, I don't disqualify you." I'm like, "What's the rule?" And he wouldn't tell me. He just kept threatening me and getting in my face. Like basically, like, if you don't keep wrestling, you know, you'll be lucky if I don't disqualify you. And then coming off the match and like anytime I try to ask for an explanation in these front headlocks, there was no like explanation. It was just threats. It was just him getting in my face. And when I got off the mat, I remember like saying all this to my coach and him just kind of being like, just let it go. Like we got to come back. We got to wrestle in the second one. Like just let it go. Let's not be mad about it now. Like you still got to win the series. You're still going to do something great here. And he told me all the right things. And yeah, I was ready to come back in this series. And unfortunately, I think what that ref did in the first match threw me for such a loop uh, that like obviously I went from teching the guy in 15 seconds to losing the whole series. That's a huge swing. Imagine
Yeah,
what kind of momentum I would have going into the second match had he called my 2 4s.
right.
But um, yeah, I mean, I don't want to make too many excuses. I just want to kind of like voice all of our complaints for the people that follow you in the world of wrestling to know, what was going on and what happened in that match. Like I said, I was going to accept this defeat even though I thought it was unfair. I was putting the shoes on the mat and I felt completely hopeless and helpless, and I wanted to walk away the sport forever. I didn't want to see another person in wrestling ever again.
Yeah,
Um, and I wasn't planning on retiring. I was that disheveled, that sad, that like upset with like why isn't anybody in the wrestling world like why didn't anybody step up and change the ref? Why didn't anybody, because we talked to every ref, the chair and the judge, and they wouldn't help us. We talked to people who ran the tournament, they wouldn't help us. We texted national team staff, they wouldn't help us. And it's just like, after knowing all that, I was just like, why didn't anybody do anything? Like, this isn't fair. This isn't a way to go out after 24 years of dedicating my life to this. And I was like, if this is the way it's going to be, you're not seeing my face ever again. And I really meant that. And luckily, I had some people. I had a ridiculous amount of support roll in. So many people called me that I couldn't even answer the phone. So many people pushed me to say, "Hey, fight this, and we think you'll win, and fight this, and we'll help you." And that's the only reason why I'm back. And it's good to be back, man. It's good to be on the mats. This is something I love. I dedicate my life to it, and I want to help people in the future. But I didn't even feel like I can coach after this. If this was going to be my end, I didn't want anything to do with wrestling. But now, win or lose the case, win or lose the series, I just feel so grateful that I got all these people in my corner, and it did prove to me already that the sport of wrestling is an amazing thing, and that I want to still dedicate my life to it.
Some of the things you're describing remind me of Kerry Colott and his situation. I remember him saying, they had a couple redos, right? I don't remember which year. He had a 3 or 4 years in a row with some controversy, and the one was like, I had to wrestle this guy again, but my head was somewhere else, and I was thinking when I was wrestling. When you're thinking and you're wrestling, you're not really there. And it just the same as like I was hearing Ray Bunker or whoever else when I'm hearing an individual, I'm not really I'm not there. I'm somewhere else. And as we know, Kerry got away from the sport for a good while, and thank God he's back.
Yeah.
But you know, it just I'm drawing those parallels real right away. Those things jump off um, the page at me. And to the taking the shoes off, was it like match over? Did it just came to you right then, or it had to have, right? Because you said you didn't plan on doing it before.
I had it as the match was ticking down. I was like, if I if I lose this way, I'm taking these shoes off. There's no like I felt so angry. I'm still angry. Some nights I still don't sleep. Just up in anger for hours till 6 a.m. You
Wow.
know, it's like
Yeah.
getting in bed at 10:30 at night, still up till 6 a.m. Just angry. Like I don't even want to be fighting this fight right now. I'm so grateful and lucky to have people support me and to be able to raise these funds, but I shouldn't be fighting this fight right now. I wish like what I should have had happen was a fair ref. And win or lose, I know I can just walk away. But right now I felt like yeah, I retired, but I was in limbo. It's like I'm just angry. This is not the way to leave the sport that I love. You know, I'm just angry and I feel like it's unfair. And most people I talk to think it's unfair the way it was refed. If John would have beat me and we had a fair ref, it's like, hey buddy, this stinks. But, you know, that's wrestling. But this isn't wrestling. This was an official that was not very fair that day. And whether it be intentional or not, I don't know. I don't know this guy. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but it was the wrong calls. It was way too much intervention. Like a ref should not be seen in a match. He should be, and
Yeah.
instead this guy was very, very involved. So, so yeah, I just need a fair shot, and then win or lose, I can accept that.
Sure. I think Kyle had a question.
I do. Matt Lindland is the Greco-Roman national team coach. He had an incident similar in 2000 where he fought it in court against Siraki. He actually lost the matches and then won in the court case. Do you know about that, number one? And then have you talked to Matt Lindland about this scenario and how you can move forward?
Yeah, I'm very well aware of that, and it's funny because I got all kinds of people sending me that case, and it's like, yeah, he's my coach. I'm very very aware of that, and I just always thought that was so crazy, and now to be going through it, I'm like, man, okay, this is this is nuts. I have no idea what's gonna happen. And I got a lot of people ask me like, "What's gonna happen?" Like, I have no idea. But like, yeah, even my aunt Linda sent me Matt Lindland's case. I'm like, yeah, I know he's my coach. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to talk to Matt about it because, unfortunately, we have to fight a little bit against the very organization that employs him, that employs me. I'm a contractor as a national team athlete, but so I can't really talk to him because that would be a little bit. I don't want to implicate his situation with work. I don't wanna, and
Yeah.
in my case, so um, you know, yeah, I can't really reach out to him, but I'm sure he would be of great help if it wasn't, having to fight the very organization that pays him,
Yeah.
and there's nothing personal. Um, it's just I just want a fair match, you know.
So in Fort Worth, you lose the second match, pissed off, assumedly, I don't think that's a word, but you're pissed off. You take your shoes off, and that's it. I'm f this. I'm done. I'm so mad. When did the dust settle, and where are we now? Right? You're talking about a case. There's something. You guys are doing something. So how did things transpire to get to where we are now between the end of the match and right now? And what's next?
Yeah, I stayed in Texas after trials. Actually, there's nothing but heartbreak out there for me in Texas, I guess. But I stayed there and sat in it, and I have family out in Texas, so I just took a week to mourn it felt like a death or even something worse. I know that sounds bad to people, but I've been through a lot of death, and this felt worse. I was just mourning for a week, and then I was finally got like an epiphany, like I was telling you guys, like, hey, I'm gonna move to Austin. And for whatever reason, that like was the first glimmer of like, hey, life won't be too bad,
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna move to Austin, and then that's exactly when I got the call from Coach Medlin that like, hey, I wanted to give you a little while, but we got lawyers in place, and we got a case that people think that you can win. Do you want to fight this fight? Like, take a day to think about it. And I was like, yeah. And the whole time, that whole morning week, I was still working out and I was still eating healthy, and you know, and that's, I mean, it's crazy, but it's kind of what my coach told me to do without like telling me we were going to fight this match. He was like, hey, make sure you're still eating healthy, make sure you get like a couple runs in just for your mind. And I was like, wow, man, what a call. Like, that's such a good call. Little did I know he was in the works trying to see like uh if we could if we had some course of action to get a rematch. And we do. So then right now where we're at is I'm in Champaign. I'm coaching and I'm training. I'm training as hard as I can just to be ready for whatever comes. And that's really exciting for me to put the shoes back on. Yeah, it just feels great. It feels right. I'm helping people around me, and I'm training. And then I'm going to put together another training camp, probably outside of Champaign, Illinois. I'm at the University of Illinois training. But we're going to probably put a training camp together either in Marquette, Michigan or Minnesota. Looks like the top two places that we might do it. And we're going to bring in training partners. And yeah, and like I said, as far we got the money to the lawyers, and the wheels are in motion, and we can be seeing, a match, very soon as, a month or 3 weeks, or, it's got to be quick,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Olympics are in what, 90 days or
Time's
something.
ticking for sure.
Yeah.
Kyle, did you have another one?
I do. What's your relationship with John Stefanowicz? You were world team members in 2019. Have you talked to him? How well do you know him? Take us through that relationship.
I consider John a good friend. I respect John a lot. I've always respected what he does on and off the mat. He's on all the councils for Greco. He's one of the guys who voices all of our concerns, and I've been on those councils too, like AAC boards and all these other things where athletes are the bridge between the athletes and USA Wrestling and whatnot. So I really respect who he is. I respect his service for the Marines, and I'm from a military family, so I got a lot of respect for those guys, and they'll tell you that we've been friends. We've trained together, and yeah, I respect the hell out of the guy, and it's nothing personal. And I want a fair shot, and I don't want to be that guy that's talking about shoulda, coulda, woulda the rest of his life. That was like one of my biggest goals in wrestling. Like, don't be a guy at a bar, like bending people's ear over like, oh, this happened and that happened, and nobody wants to hear that, you know.
Yeah.
So I just want a fair match, man, and it's nothing personal. And John will probably tell you that. But right now, no, I've had zero contact with them because, yeah, in order to win this, uh, it's pretty dumb to be conversating with the very person that is going to kind of be testifying against what you're saying. So
Do you know what the actual like procedural steps are? Like, what was it last, or I guess 2 years ago, because last year was a skip year. But there was a Yanni Zane thing, right? And went to like all kinds of arbitration and I don't even arbitration of some sort. And I think Dake and Ringer had something like that as well. Is that like the path you guys are going down?
yeah, yeah. So those are also matches we dove in because a lot of it is like precedent set by Linland and by Yanni and by these other matches. And yeah, so there it's a very complicated process, but you can file a protest under USA Wrestling. You can file, but you don't need to. You can file a protest under the USOPC, and that's what we did under the Olympic Committee. Um, we filed it with them, and there's ombudsman and people put in place at the USOPC to help the athlete, and so I've been working with them. I'm filing what we call an Article 9, I believe. So there's all these different articles that you have to you have to be way smarter than me to know exactly which one I need to file under, because if you file under the wrong one, you may lose. And so you kind of go, from my understanding, is you can kind of go through US Wrestling, go through USOPC, and if you're denied through that arbitration, I feel like you can bring it to the courts, is kind of how I'm understanding it. But it's very complicated to me too. I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a wrestler. So that's why for people that know what they're doing, and they're sports lawyers, they're specific to this kind of stuff. Even a normal lawyer would be like, what the heck is this? And and not everybody, I don't think there's any ref or any lawyer that's going to understand the rules like a wrestler or a ref. So it's going to take a lot of review with the Olympic Committee first, and hopefully they deem it that this was wrong and that we need to do a rematch. And then I feel like there's from what I understand, there's a course of action further than that if they don't grant you that. So I'm lawyering up because I need help every step of the way, so that because I got one shot at this. If I hire my cousin Vinny, I may lose this. So that's why I'm lawyering up for every part of this.
I don't know if you've seen that movie, but he actually they win the case.
He wins.
He wins.
Yeah,
he wins.
Yeah. He
was
does.
ugly.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know. But you know what I mean.
Of course. So I assume then what you guys are fighting is you want to start the whole thing over and wrestle match, and somebody needs to win 2 matches again. Like, you would take the result from the first match and throw it out, which means you probably take the result from the second match and throw it out. Is that what you're trying to do?
Ideally, yeah. But this is the hard thing to explain to other people. From my understanding, almost all of this is going to be fought for. They may say all right, the first match was botched, but the second match he beat you straight up. And then, so all of the intricacies of this are to be determined. It may be that I need to win 2 straight. It may be that we start over completely. It may be hey, you got 1, John's got 1. Whatever the case is, I got to be ready to win. In my mind, I got to be ready to win two matches, and that's what I'm going to be ready for. That's what I was ready for at trials. And, unfortunately, it's not what happened. But I did everything I could at trials. And, I got a tech in 15 seconds. And I would have won the trials, I think, had that not be stopped for inexplicable reasons that we got no, explanation for. But, yeah, I'm going to be ready again. I'm training hard. I'm excited. There's new life to me. It was pretty depressing before this, but now there's some hope, and win or lose the case, win or lose the match. The people of wrestling and people in my life have really restored my love for this sport, which I really lost in that moment where I was putting my shoes on the mat. That putting the shoes on the mat was a very angry decision, and I was just I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my plan. So hopefully we see a good ending. That's all I can hope for.
Right. And I maybe haven't given any thought to this, right? But have you thought about either if I lose, will I continue to wrestle? If I win, I go. Have you even thought the scenarios of after it, or is it just let's just sort this out and then beyond that we'll figure things?
Yeah, I've been looking into some coaching opportunities, and one of the silver lining to retiring is I was very bitter and angry, but I did have this overwhelming feeling of wanting to help people, because you got to be very selfish as an athlete, I think, more than we want to be sometimes. And I help people in little ways, teammates around me, and local wrestlers from around the area, but I want to help more. And so I've had a lot of coaching opportunities thrown my way, and they're exciting. So at the end of this, I'm going to kind of have to follow my heart. Do I want to coach or do I want to wrestle? And, before this, all I was focusing on was wrestling. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I also I have three ways to take it. Like run away from wrestling. I don't know if I'm going to call it running away anymore. If I would have just left, the results of trials just there on the mats like I was planning on, it would have been running away from wrestling. But I think I may just remove myself from wrestling for a while, or I might become a coach, or I may keep wrestling until the next Olympics. But I feel like I need to get this out of the way first. I need to focus on the task at hand before I make that decision.
Sure. And I was thinking back to the 2019 Worlds and how upset you were afterwards, and man, it was a heart wrenching interview to conduct and to watch later. You're just like, you had lost, and like, I just want to go to the effing Olympics, right? And it was pure emotion coming out of you, which if nothing less, I very much appreciate. But to the Olympics, when the first Olympics you remember watching? Who was in it, and what do you remember?
Man, I remember I started wrestling when I was 6. So when Rulon won, I was 9. And I remember watching and seeing that guy win the Olympics and beat what everybody considers still to be the best Greco wrestler ever. Whether you want to make the argument of Lopez or him, like I know a lot of people that still consider Carellin the best. And watching Rulon and seeing him win and knowing like that he is not the favorite, and I was like, I can do that. I can do that. I want to do that. And there's pictures of me even before that wearing Olympic gear. Like I always wanted to be an Olympian. But I remember seeing Rulon win it and I was like, I want to do that one day, man. I can do this. And it's crazy because I never won a state title as a kid or as a high schooler. And I'm still saying like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. And I go D3 and I'm still like, I want to do that. And everybody's like, this guy's crazy. Like, this guy's crazy. He's never going to do that. And then one day I was in position to do that. And everybody's like, holy crap. Like, he's doing it. Like, he's almost there. He's almost there. So I've been almost there twice. And it's nuts because I was just an everyday kid with a really crazy dream. And to make it even crazier, I've been as close as you can possibly be twice. So hopefully we get to run this back and I get to do that because I've been dreaming since I was a kid about doing that.
When did it go from a dream to like okay, if when you're 6, 7, 10 years old, it's a dream. At some point, it's like, man, this is not some pipe dream. This could happen, right? When did it switch to like, this isn't crazy. I can do this, right? When did the belief, I guess, come in that like, yeah, I'm to this level. I believe I'm not far away, and I can make this happen.
Man, it took me a really long time to finally get like proof that I could do that.
Yeah.
And that was when I won Fargo as an 18-year-old. Winning Fargo as an 18-year-old, I had gone to state once my senior year and I went 0-2. And I pretty much gave up on wrestling. I gave up on life. I told Steve Marinetti I was going to Elmhurst, but that whole, you know, that whole postseason, I wasn't sure that I was even gonna, graduate high school. And I was a National Honor Society member. I was like, a straight A student, and I was so depressed after not accomplishing my goal of being a state champ that like things were looking very dark for me. And Fargo, my senior year, changed my life, and I feel like it was God telling me that all the hard work I put in wasn't for nothing, and that I got to keep going. And I had my brother come back from Iraq and Afghanistan. He retired from the army after a couple tours, and he just got me back in the gym. And I showed up to Fargo 60 pounds heavier than the year before, and I was fat and I was out of shape. It was the first summer of my life where I wasn't in and out of wrestling rooms, and I won Freestyle State. I took second in Greco State, and I was just like, huh, maybe I'm kind of good. and
Yeah.
then, and the whole time, at Fargo camp, nobody still. I was. I mean, I've told this story before. Like, we got a draft on Team Illinois because there's so many of us. I was the last overall pick. Literally, no one, including Coach Medlin, thought I was going to do anything. You know, and I looked like a donut. And but the whole camp, I was commentating all of my own matches, like I was a broadcaster, like Joe Rao in the national finals, he's going against Charles Lewis, he hits him with a duck, and I was doing that every practice, and it was like to goof around, but it literally was like, looking back at it, it was like a goofy visualization of like, hey, I'm going to be in the national finals, and it was crazy, and 11 matches, one at a time. I made it and I won in the finals of Fargo. And I remember the first time finding the Fargo brochure, I was just like, holy, I want to do this. How do I get there? And, as a cadet, I couldn't even qualify for Fargo. as a junior in high school, I qualified for Greco because one guy had qualified for, through a regional, and another guy just wasn't going to go to Fargo. So I took fourth at Greco State, and I got bumped up to 2. And that's the only reason why I went to Fargo. And I wrote like my life story down for a petition to wrestle in freestyle because I hadn't qualified in freestyle. And so that was my first time going to Fargo. It was my junior year of high school. And I did okay. I won some matches. I didn't place. So going in that second time around, it was like a new lease on life. Like I was so at rock bottom that I wasn't working out. I wasn't looking at brackets. I wasn't scouting anybody. I didn't care about anything. And I went and won the thing. And so it was a whole mind shift to like, whoa, like this is, and later on, I've kind of found out what this was because I had a world champ, Mike Hauk, explain to me the art of performance is training like it's the end of the world, but wrestling like you don't give a crap. And I really went there that day and I didn't give a crap about anything. Like I didn't give a crap about who I was wrestling, what, big school they were going to next year, or what they were ranked, or how many matches I had. Like I wasn't worried about anything, and I won Fargo. And then all of a sudden it was like God, just reaching down and grabbing me and be like, stay in this sport. You can be that Olympian you've dreamed of. Like you can be a good wrestler. And it was the first time in my life where I won something big, and I felt like, man, this is who I thought I can be. Like I can actually be this guy. And I've used that tournament the rest of my life to kind of like model every tournament after that, at least mentally what was going on. But I brought back the work ethic. But mentally, it was like, I was, and I went out and I All-American in freestyle too. So it was pretty crazy. It was, and it had lasting effects. And that was the first time in my life where I felt like, this is possible.
That is awesome. That's an awesome story, top to bottom. Thanks for sharing that, for sure. I think Kyle had another question.
Joe, you've always been on a unique path that truly is uniquely yours, whether it's Chow with Rao, whether it's wrestling Greco and freestyle. When people say you shouldn't be wrestling freestyle and just focus on Greco, D3 route, when did you know that you had a little bit different path than other people?
I think since the day I was born. But having coaches let me be me, that was another story. I didn't have a coach really let me be me until I met Steve Marinetti at Elmhurst. And I made so much progress there. And even though it was a D3 school, I had a D1 NCAA champ and a freestyle world team member as my coach. So I had a D1 caliber coach in Steve Marinetti. And even more than that, he was the kind of person who let me be me. And he gives you so much control and room to grow. And for my personality type, he was the perfect person for me. So I always knew I was different and I was crazy. And that's an advantage if a coach can cultivate that, if he can let that grow. If he lets that crop grow, I think I can be the best in the world in either style. But I've had so much resistance from every coach, before and after Steve. And then I kind of try and talk my coaches into being a little bit more flexible with me. And Brian Medlin, my coach now, is very good with me. But I think at first, when you first meet me, you just think that, you just think like, no, man, I got to break you like a wild horse. But I'm just like, trust me, if you just let me fly, it's going to be good, And Robbie Smith was good with me in that way too.
Yeah. I think it's great. A little crazy, but that's what I am, right? And I'm
Yeah.
a little crazy. That there's nothing wrong with a little crazy. In fact, there's like something to that, and I think you've shown that. And I could say I've appreciated your personality, your demeanor, your just the way you carry yourself for sure over the years. It's been fun to watch, and Um, interested to see how this one turns out and plays out. We're gonna pivot here for a second though, because I think Kyle Klingman has some hotbox questions he wants to ask you. Rapid fire, lightning round, whatever you want to call it. So Kyle, I'll let you take it away.
First time doing this. What a perfect person to do it with.
Yeah,
Hot
seriously.
box, 5 questions, hoping to make you sweat. Joe Rao, are you ready to go in the hot box?
Yeah, I'm nervous, but let's do this.
Question number 1. Elmhurst coach Steve Marianetti, who you mentioned, posted one of the biggest upsets in NCAA championship finals history. Who did he beat? What was the year? What was the score?
Lincoln McElravy. He's from Iowa, 1995. I want to say the score was 11-9 or 9-7. 11-9 maybe. Dang it.
13-10.
Just hit me with
Oh, he's close.
11-10.
We're going to give that one to you.
All right. I
you
knew
say
it. It
13?
was close.
He got 2 out of 3. That's
Question
good.
number 2. You are given 2 options. You can win a Greco world title. You'll live in obscurity in wrestling. People in wrestling will know it. Or you hit a major move. It goes viral. You become a millionaire and you are an internet sensation. Which would you choose?
World title all day. Easy.
I like that. That's the right answer. Number 3, if you could start a cooking show, who would you start it with?
Ooh. Okay. Either Maddie Matheson or just my wife.
Why?
Well, you got to pick one. Like, is it your wife or
Oh,
Matt?
dang. He's going to go to the doghouse.
I gotta pick one. All right, don't be mad at me, but it'd be Maddie Matheson. Sorry, honey.
And tell us why.
Right.
I'm curious.
Oh, he's just a fun, exciting guy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of his shows, but he's this big, heavy set, tattooed man from Canada, and he's just very exciting. And he's basically just streaming the whole show, and he's got some very cool, recipes that kind of blend a little bit of like low class and high class. So it's really cool.
You're in the doghouse, P.S.
Yeah. Question number 4. Who is the
Yeah.
most famous clown who ever lived?
The most famous clown?
Yep.
Bozo?
Yeah, that's right.
Bozo the
You're
clown.
Illinois.
All right, baby.
It's not Ronald McDonald?
No way.
That is up for debate. I think Bozo's got more like legit clown cred.
Yeah. Street clown.
Yeah,
that's
street clown.
It was on WGN. That's Illinois, so it's got to be Bozo, right?
Yeah. That's right. That's all that matters, right? What's playing here? Yeah.
Final question, then you're out of the hot box. Pat Smith, the Greco Pat Smith, not the Oklahoma State one, can imitate Jay Robinson. Can you imitate Pat Smith?
Can I imitate Pat Smith? Can I imitate him imitating J-Rob?
Yeah, do it. I'd like to see that.
Well, Pat Smith, I love him, but my only imitation of Pat is like when he's eating peanut butter, he has a hard time breathing out of his nose. So it's like he's always as his roommate for many years. It's always like, come on, Pat, like stop eating peanut butter right next to me, man, because it's just his nose. He has trouble breathing through it, and he's gonna be mad at me about this. But
Yeah.
that's the only Pat Smith I can do. Is he's got kind of a busted nose. So. But yeah, my J-Rob's not as good as his.
No one's his.
Call him. Yeah, I can't do it that well. My impersonations are weak.
You're out of the hot box, 5 for 5. I think Mark's going to give you blazing reviews here too. So congratulations, you're 5 for 5 out of the hot box.
You're 5 for 5, but you pissed off your wife and you pissed off Pat Smith.
Yeah. I won the game, but I lost life.
Oh, it's gonna be tough. Pat's like, oh, you brought me up. The one thing you brought me up, he's gonna crap all over me for eating peanut butter.
Yeah, he knows he does it.
The Honda Civic himself, or PT Cruiser, I think the self-proclaimed PT Cruiser. So
yeah,
awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun, and it's not all hasn't been sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, there's been a serious side to it, and We wish you the best. I don't know what's gonna happen. But it sounds like things will be getting started soon. And I mean, who knows, right? They didn't do Yanni and Zane. I think Zane won, and within a week he was on a plane to training camp. I mean, like acclimation camp
Yeah.
overseas. So I mean, who knows? It's we're gonna keep our eyes on it, and it's gonna be something that's a piece of news in the wrestling world for weeks, months. And it should get resolved by July. I think is when the teams are gonna head over there and get acclimated
Yeah.
and start training. So, man, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing this with us. Is there anything else you want to share about this story or anything else before we let you move on today?
No, just that, like, everything I've been through a lot in this sport and life, and that I'm very grateful for all the people that helped me. So thank you to everybody. And, it's a situation that brought me closer to God. So I'm also thankful for that. And, yeah, I just want everybody to know, like, from the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful for all the support and all the calls. And don't be upset if I didn't get back to you yet, but because after this is all said and done, I'm going to try and call everybody individually and thank them. But yeah, thanks. And thank you guys for having me on, Bader and Klingman. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
You bet, man. Yeah, thanks so much. Best of luck. We're going to be following this whole thing as it unfolds, and you have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Peace out,
All right.
guys.
You bet, man. Thank you. Man, Kyle, that's a wild show we had today.
It was, man. It's a wild scenario, and unfortunately, we've just seen this happen too much in the last few years. And there's some precedent, and he mentioned it. And it probably, for me, I go back and think about 1984 and what happened there with Lewis and Smith, and it went on to Lindland and just a few more recently. But it means something, man, and you can tell talking to him how much this means to make an Olympic team. And this is your life, and he's going to fight for his life and what it means. So appreciated him being so candid.
Yeah, great guy, and as obviously as John, and he mentioned that. So that's going to get figured out one way or another this summer. So that's going to do it for today's show. That's going to do it for the show this week. Junior and senior nationals this weekend from Iowa. I'll be there. You'll be there, right, Kyle?
Yeah, we get to spend some time together. First tournament we get to cover on location together as a team.
As a team. We've done it in the past, but now we're teammates. Looking forward to it. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. You can check out juniors and seniors this weekend right here on FloWrestling. For Kyle Klingman, I'm Mark Bader. We'll see you. Thanks.
Talk to you at 4.